Welcome to Mindless Entertainment. My name is Jesse Milestone, and Mark Hamill is so very done with Star Wars. So very done. In case you didn't hear over the weekend, he kind of let slip essentially that his role in Rise of Skywalker is no more than just being a Force ghost, which is like, great, that's awesome, that's great. You got a movie called Rise of Skywalker in all our minds. The big Skywalkers in all of Star Wars are, of course, Luke and Anakin. Those are the ones we know and love and care about, and so it's great to know that the last installment of the Skywalker franchise, the one that started back in 1977 with Luke Skywalker, is going to feature Luke Skywalker barely at all. But anyway, the reason you can tell that Mark Hamill is just over this nonsense, we're talking about a film that was so under wraps that the actors weren't even allowed to take the scripts home, and here he is just essentially wantonly leaking information about the movie. And I don't think, people said, oh, maybe he's just kidding or whatever, maybe he's lying or honestly, look, if you follow this man since he's been a part of these new films, you can go back at the things he said. He's the one who coined the term Jake Skywalker. He's the one who first came out and was like, look, The Last Jedi's not very good. You guys are going to be upset about this. He actually was the one who went to J.J. Abrams and was like, hey, you know what we should really have before you kill off Han? We should really have a scene where all three of us are back together. And they just squandered that opportunity. So obviously, as much as he's done his very best to be gracious publicly, he has not made a secret of the fact that he is not pleased with the way Disney Star Wars has gone. He's not pleased with the way his character has gone. And the remarks he made along with this Force, we were asking him if, his character arc and whatever. And he basically said, he's like, my character ended in The Last Jedi, and you can look at that in one way like, oh yeah, my story arc wrapped up with a neat little bow at the end of that film, but you can really tell what he's saying. He's like, that movie killed my character. Luke is dead. Luke is no more. Luke doesn't exist in this world. He's not a relevant part of this. He's not an important part of the Star Wars universe anymore. And that is just such a goddamn shame. When you're talking about somebody whose life and career was made from this film, everybody else was catapulted into the limelight as well, but Carrie Fisher is no longer with us, so we're not really interviewing her, obviously, because that would be weird, because she did. But Harrison Ford made no secret about the fact that he was, he wanted Han to have been killed off in Empire, and has certainly gone on to have a very illustrious and varied career that's not at all pigeonholed into this Han Solo character. But Luke very much, that's his claim to fame. Yeah, one of the reasons he moved into voice acting following that is because he didn't want to just be Luke Skywalker forever. And has had a great and incredible, impressive voice acting career that a lot of people don't even know about. Obviously people who are huge fans of Star Wars and Mark Hamill have followed this career closely and know all the stuff that he does, but a lot of other people who are just casual fans or aren't really invested or concerned with it, after Star Wars, the name Mark Hamill just disappeared for them. That's what they know him from. That's what he is. There's no escaping that. To play a character as iconic as Luke Skywalker, that's going to be part of your identity for the rest of your life. And to just see it stripped away from him, see it taken away from him to the point where he's out there telling interviews being like, I don't have any ownership of this character. That was hard for him to say. This is the interview he did when he was talking about the season 2 of Nightfall a couple months ago. That's hard for him to say. He's expected to because he's got to be diplomatic about this shit. But how difficult to come out and basically say, I have no ownership over this character. And to cede that ownership and that creative property to people who aren't even the original creators of the character. It's one thing to say, like, yeah, George Lucas, he made this guy up. This is his dude. He can do whatever he wants with it. And make this character whatever it wants to be, and I'll just follow along, and I'm just the avatar for this. But it's got to be difficult. There's a part of you that knows you understand this character better than any of the quacks that are working on the Star Wars films right now. So it's got to be hard for the dude. I really feel for him. I feel for him because it feels like his legacy's been yanked out from underneath him. I feel for him because you can tell, based on the things he says and the way he reacts, that he's going through the same shit the rest of us are, and it must be even more difficult for him because he unlike us, we get to turn on a camera and be like, fuck Disney Star Wars, this is bullshit, and he's kind of required to be diplomatic about it and say nice things. I'm sure someone had a talking to with him after The Last Jedi because he changed his tune a little bit. He was not quite as harsh as he was initially. So that's got to be tough on the guy, and I really do feel for him. It's upsetting. It's also kind of interesting to I'm really curious to see what he's gonna say once 9 is done. he's out of these films. He's no longer under contract making money from them. I mean, well, he's still making money from them probably, but where he's not at a point where, he's no longer under contract with Disney, where he's no longer invested in the future of these films. I'm really curious to see what he has to say after The Rise of Skywalker drops, because you're kind of getting this impression that we got Mark Hamill don't care. Mark Hamill don't give a shit. So I think that as time progresses and we march forwards and move past the release of this film and into the future, we are going to hear some interesting things from good old Mark, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I also enjoy. I don't enjoy anything about the fact that these movies are terrible. In fact, it was breaking my heart watching. I was watching the originals the other day, and it's hard sometimes, because now it's hard not to watch these. It's hard not to watch through parts of them and go like, oh, that's what they stole. They stole this moment in The Last Jedi, because they did. They stole tons of freaking moments, and it's like, why? It's my favorite part. They're like, oh, Rian Johnson's movie was so original. Like, no, it wasn't. It just stole more things in different ways. But yeah, so, no, truly heartbreaking to see what they've done to such a beautiful and magical franchise, and truly heartbreaking to watch Mark Hamill go through it as well. But in some ways, there's a little bit of solidarity and camaraderie, knowing that one of the public figures that's still, attached to the original ones is in our camp and feels the fifis that we feel. So that's the one comfort I take away in all of this sadness and tragedy. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and press that like button. Click on all the links that are popping up around you. There's LA cheesesteak reviews. This is my new YouTube channel. It's so much fun. It's me and a bunch of Philly people talking about crappy cheesesteaks in LA. It's a great time, so make sure you check that out. Subscribe to that channel. If you want this beautiful shirt hanging up behind me, you can click that link as well. Jesse Shot First, original artwork by That Star Wars Girl. So make sure you do check that out as well. And then there'll be a video popping up that says get involved with me, and that will tell you everything you need to know about getting more involved in this channel. You can join my Patreon or my PayPal. These are other great ways to support this, since YouTube likes to demonetize my videos, and I can't continue doing this without your love and support. So there's those. There's the link to my Teespring if you want to check out my other awesome designs. There's also all social media is a different way to get in contact with me, my P.O. Box, etc. You can follow me on Twitter at Jesse Milestone, on Instagram at Mindless Entertainment. You guys are all the best. God Empress out.